Now on Daybreak, breaking news. An early morning apartment fire leaves a woman in critical condition and hurts two police officers. We have the latest information.
Get ready for a chilly start with temperatures in the 40s this morning. Storm Track 8's Marcus Bailey is tracking just how long that cool weather sticks around.
One man has died, another is in critical condition after a shooting in the middle of the day. Hear how neighbors say they're dealing with the violence.
This is News 8's Daybreak.
Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, the 8th of October here on News 8.
Everything you need to know to get your day started coming here right now. Stephanie Mead is looking at traffic. We'll talk to her in a minute.
Crisp start to the day. Clear outside, too. Marcus Bailey joins us now to tell us the clear that's making it cool. Will help us later in the day.
It will, right? So it's working against us. We're about 5 to 10 degrees below where we were this time yesterday.
Yes.
And you certainly feel that here this morning. So it's drier, it's a clear sky, which means we're going to see tons of sunshine. Yeah. And that means it's going to warm up pretty nicely here later this afternoon. So despite this chilly start, you're going to be in for a really nice day here for your Tuesday. Really, it was a beautiful Monday afternoon after that cloudy start in the morning. But we were mentioning the cooler temperatures. Now, this doesn't seem bad. 50 here in the city, but looks are deceiving because many areas outside of Indianapolis are running much colder than this. Winds are out of the east-northeast at around 5 miles per hour. Out the door, jacket weather. Here in the city, upper 40s to around 50 between now and let's say 8 o'clock. Don't expect any weather-related issues for you on the road. Down to 38 in Zionsville, 45 in Carmel, 44 in Noblesville. So despite the fact that we're 50 at the airport, you could see a vast majority of the metropolitan area is actually sitting in the low to mid 40s here this morning. Same thing up north. 39 down up in Cicero, 40 in Kokomo and Huntington, Muncie 43. Flora, good morning, you're at 41. Now, despite this chilly start, as I mentioned, we warmed nicely today, 67 at 1 o'clock, 70 at 3, and we finish off with a high of 72 degrees here this afternoon. That's a little bit warmer than yesterday. It's also a few degrees above average. 68 is normal for this time. We're going to have a nice run here, very warm weather. You could see the warm air hovering through the end of the week, but we've got a significant snap with chillier temperatures coming our way for the weekend. Ahead of that, a pretty potent system heading our way. So a lot to time out as we wrap up the work week. Coming up, we'll talk about rain and storms heading our way, plus some pretty gusty winds. And we'll talk about how chilly these temperatures may get to kick off your weekend. It's all on my Storm Track 8 forecast in just a few minutes. Stephanie.
All right, thanks, Marcus. Looking forward to that. We're going to take a look at our drive in. Northwest side looks great. If you're coming in from I-65 inbound, it's that stretch that does have a little bit of construction work still going on. So right now, it's not too filled. In fact, we're seeing cars move fairly quickly here this morning near the pedestrian overpass close to I-65. So this is in the realm of 38th Street. So if this is a usual route, I think you should be okay for the time being. We're not seeing any precip hurting your morning drive. In fact, it is a very quiet start in terms of our weather conditions for your morning drive this morning. So if that is a usual route, that stretch of I-65, I think you'll be okay. West side looks fantastic. Inbound lanes from Brownsburg along I-74 near the I-465 interchange. No issues there. Rockville Road inbound for Avon commuters. No issues getting into the city either. And then Plainfield commuters who usually utilize Washington Street heading inbound should see no issues or delays either. I-465 near 10th Street looks great. Volume on both 10th and I-465. Nothing too overbearing right now, so our drive times are reflecting a pretty easygoing start to our 6 o'clock hour here on Daybreak. 74 from Brownsburg to I-465 at a 6-minute drive. 36 from Avon to I-465 at a quick 20-minute morning commute. And then 40 from Plainfield to I-465 at a 15-minute morning drive.
Stephanie, thank you. At 6:03, we are following breaking news. A woman is in critical condition after an apartment fire on the east side of Indianapolis. It happened early this morning near East 9th Street at Cumberland Manor. Officials say the woman was inside with her daughter at the time. Firefighters rescued the daughter from a ledge. Firefighters then rescued the mother from inside. Crews performed CPR and were able to get a pulse. Officials say 2 police officers are also being treated for smoke inhalation. Fire crews say the fire was contained to one apartment. It's still unclear what caused it.
A double shooting on the city's south side leaves one man dead and another in critical condition.
And people witnessed the aftermath in the middle of the day at an apartment complex. News 8's Katie Wisely is live at police headquarters. Katie, this is shaking the community.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Drew. Police tell us that they do not have a motive at this time, but detectives are telling News 8 they're investigating multiple angles, including the possibility that this shootout was drug related. Now take a look at your screen right now. This is some video of the scene on Sunday. It happened at 4:15 at the Southport Crossing Apartments. It's unclear if the two shooting victims lived there, and if they didn't, what they were doing there. Witnesses tell News 8 it was a gunfight and believe the two men who were shot in the back parking lot shot each other. Neighbors say they did not see a third shooter or anyone else who could still be at large. What we know, both men appeared to be in their 20s or 30s. One was found dead in a car. The other ran through the courtyard and collapsed in a bush. Neighbors say he appeared to be bleeding from a chest wound.
And I got up and looked out the window, and I seen one of the victims running down the sidewalk, holding his gut like this and carrying a big silver pistol.
That victim is alive and remains in critical condition at Eskenazi Hospital. Officials haven't identified him or the man who died. This is not the first homicide investigation at these apartments. In June 2017, a 34-year-old woman was shot and killed there. It happened a month after a 31-year-old man was found shot to death in the woods behind the complex. Now, police say that this shooting is an isolated incident, and they're still investigating to figure out what happened and what led up to that shooting. As soon as we get more information, we'll make sure to bring that to you on air and online at wishtv.com. Back to you.
Katie, thank you. 5 minutes after 6 now. Police have found a woman they want to talk to about a deadly shooting in Broad Ripple. Alfred Haynes Jr. was shot outside Connor's Pub last Thursday morning. Investigators released a picture of the woman yesterday, calling her a person of interest. Later in the day, they then told us they found her. They're not saying who she is or how she may be connected to the situation.
A fourth Central Indiana man has died days after a plane crash in Michigan. Zachariah Bennett passed away from his injuries on Saturday at 27 years old. Bennett and 5 other men boarded the plane in Greenwood Thursday morning. The plane crashed in Lansing, Michigan. 3 other men, all from Johnson County, died in the crash. Here, Bennett's widow describes her late husband.
He was an encourager. He was a supporter. He was a man of God. He loved Jesus with all of his heart. And he was just a great, great man.
Authorities say 2 other men, Aaron Blackford and Joel Bevins, are still in the hospital. The NTSB is still investigating the cause of the crash.
A 15-year-old has suffered a concussion after being hit by a car on the east side. Police say it happened near 38th and Gale around 5 o'clock last night. IMPD says the child stepped onto the street and the car hit the child. The child went to the hospital. The driver of the car did stay at the scene to cooperate with officers.
A couple in Noblesville is raising concern about breathing in a mysterious substance covering their home and cars. Austin Rickert and his fiancee discovered a gritty film covering almost everything outside. It's described as a sticky metal flake coating that doesn't wipe off. Rickert says whatever it is has ruined the paint jobs on both of their vehicles. He called the mayor of Noblesville, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and the EPA.
What's it doing when you're breathing it in, you know? What are going to be the repercussions, maybe, you know, years from now of breathing the stuff in for the past 6 months?
News 8 confirmed IDEM has received other complaints. A state air quality inspector tested the air near the neighborhood on the 1st of this month. The test found no evidence or violations related to dust coming from a nearby facility.
Early voting starts today. 3 local school districts have questions on the ballot. Danville Community Schools are asking for $53 million to upgrade buildings and pay teachers more. There are 2 questions on the ballot. If they're both approved, property taxes will go up. The amount will depend on the value of your home. A family with a $150,000 house would pay about $200 more each year.
Renovations to improve safety, to improve our classroom environment for our students, and to just generally take care of aging buildings that have met their end of lifespan.
Voters in Lawrence and Zionsville will also decide school referendums. Construction work will slow the drive on State Road 32 in Westfield today. The city says crews need to do some concrete work on the new Monon Bridge, so you should expect lane restrictions on 32 at Wheeler Road, which is right where the trail now goes over 32. Work starts at 8:30 this morning. Right now it's 8 minutes after 6.
American troops are pulling out of northern Syria ahead on Daybreak, while lawmakers from both parties are against this decision from the president.
Temperatures running much cooler than this time yesterday. Many of you into the 40s, well into the 40s. In fact, despite that, we finish off strong. A beautiful Tuesday afternoon on tap. We'll time it out coming up in my Storm Track 8 forecast.
Back again on Daybreak. So glad to have you on this Tuesday morning. A live view right now of Monument Circle. It's looking nice. It feels crisp outside. 50 degrees, but it's cooler than that in a lot of places. Many of us will see the 40s at some point this morning before we look ahead to a very sunny, beautiful day. 6:12 is our time. A deposition is set for today in the impeachment inquiry of President Trump. 3 House committees, Foreign Affairs, Intelligence, and Oversight, will hear from the U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland. Sondland was mentioned in the whistleblower complaint over a phone call where President Trump asked Ukraine's president to investigate political rival Joe Biden and his son. A second whistleblower has since come forward, but President Trump says he is not concerned.
It was a perfect call. It's just a scam. This is a scam by the Democrats to try and win an election that they're not going to win in 2020.
Yesterday, the committees subpoenaed the Pentagon and White House Office of Management and Budget. The subpoena requests documents about the administration's temporary freeze on military aid for Ukraine.
President Trump is getting strong pushback from both sides of the aisle about his decision to pull troops out of northern Syria. From Republican leaders, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is urging the president to reverse the decision. In a statement, McConnell says American interests are best served by American leadership, not retreat or withdrawal. Leading Democrats echo that. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi released a statement calling the withdrawal a dire threat to regional security. President Trump says his decision fulfills a campaign pledge to bring American troops home.
Well, we've been in Syria for a long time, and it was supposed to be a very short hit and a hit on ISIS, but it didn't work out that way. They never left.
President Trump says U.S. troops will step aside, clearing the way for an expected attack on the Kurds by Turkey. Kurdish fighters have been fighting alongside American forces to get rid of ISIS. Trump also threatened to destroy the Turkish economy if Turkey goes too far. Republican Indiana Congresswoman Susan Brooks posted a statement on Twitter saying, "We need to stay engaged in northeast Syria and support our Kurdish allies who helped us defeat ISIS." She goes on to say, "I urge the president to reconsider this decision because removing our troops threatens our national security and provides terrorists opportunities to plan and launch attacks."
Happening today, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments over whether federal civil rights law protects LGBT people from job discrimination. The court will consider that if it falls under a provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It forbids employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex, as well as race, color, national origin, and religion. The cases are the court's first on LGBT rights since Justice Anthony Kennedy's retirement and replacement by Justice Brett Kavanaugh. A decision is expected by early summer 2020. President Trump has been ordered by a federal judge to turn over his tax returns to Manhattan's district attorney. The order has already been temporarily stayed by a U.S. Court of Appeals after the president's lawyers filed an emergency notice. The president has been trying to block a subpoena issued by the DA to release 8 years of his tax returns. The DA is investigating if any New York state laws were broken when hush money payments were made to 2 women who said they had affairs with Trump more than a decade ago. The president has denied the allegations. President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, is currently serving prison time connected to the case.
America is spending more deeply in the red than any time in the last 7 years. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the full year deficit, the fiscal year that just ended, at $984 billion. That's more than $200 billion more than last year. The CBO has warned the nation's debt is on an unsustainable path. National debt overall is more than $22 trillion now. The Treasury Department will release final deficit figures mid-month.
At 6:15, another live view of downtown Indianapolis on what is a very popular style of forecast when we have these refreshing mornings, then we rebound so nicely in the afternoon.
Yeah, the sunshine is going to feel awful nice. Yesterday we kind of had to shrug off pretty thick cloud cover to get there. Not this morning, it seems.
No, and that's why I think we're much colder here this morning. But I love this time of year because you do get kind of the best of both worlds, right? I mean, it's jacket weather obviously here this morning, but then you'll shed it once we head into the afternoon. Make sure the kiddos bring their jackets back home. They won't need it for the second half of the day. Despite this cooler start, as we look way off from the north and west back toward downtown Indianapolis, it is very quiet this morning. And officially, we stand at 50 degrees. Now, that doesn't seem so bad. We were kind of into the low to mid 50s for much of the area yesterday. We are by far the warmest spot in central Indiana, here in Indianapolis, at the airport specifically, because some of the metro temperatures are running 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees cooler than that, even more. Up in Broad Ripple, it's 43, 45 in Carmel. Downtown's at 41. Southport at 45, Lawrence at 42. Look at McCordsville down to 39, and Zionsville, the chilly spot in the metropolitan area, at 38 degrees. So there are some very, very chilly spots here this morning. Visibility, no issue around the metro area. Maybe it's a few hot spots, mainly down to the south, and this is where they picked up rain for a majority of the morning and even early afternoon hours, closer to the Ohio River. So from Cincinnati down to Louisville, seeing some pretty dense fog. If your travels are taking you southbound, either 65 or 74, be aware of that. But it is crystal clear cloud-wise across central Indiana as dry air settles in. It's not just us, really. It's the bulk of the Midwest is high and dry and very quiet. And because of that, that's where we will see that abundant sunshine for the day today. So jackets for the kiddos this morning, 48 at the bus stop, at least here in the city. You're maybe a little bit cooler than that in some of the outlying areas, but a fine finish today. I think the ride home probably closer to 70 degrees. Tracking temperatures hour by hour for the day today. I think lunchtime temperatures are into the mid-60s. So it's a pretty significant jump from morning to midday. And then we work up to a high of 72 later on this afternoon. Tracking temperatures for tomorrow, I think just as nice. We may be a little bit warmer for tomorrow morning, but not by much. I've got us in the low 50s by 9 a.m. Still many areas I think will be in the upper 40s to kick things off tomorrow because it will be a clear sky and a light wind. And we should finish off into the mid-70s by tomorrow afternoon. It's a dry stretch today, no problems. Tomorrow and Thursday, also dry. Next system of interest will be on Friday and could linger on into the pre-dawn hours of Saturday. This is going to be a potent system that's going to be coming through with some showers, storms, nothing severe. The wind machine starts to crank up, could be seeing gusts of around 25 to 35 miles per hour, both Friday and Saturday. And a big reason for that, a couple of reasons. You've got high pressure now, turning to low pressure Friday, back to high pressure on Saturday. So there's some fluctuation there. If you suffer from sinus headaches, you might want to be aware of that when you get those significant pressure changes. It's also going to be a pretty significant temperature change. These are Friday highs, knocking on the door of 80 degrees, but you see that colder air digging in back to the west. That fills in starting Friday night into Saturday, where highs will be in the upper 50s. And overnight lows will be quite chilly, maybe even frosty by Sunday morning, and we barely make it into the low 60s as we head into Sunday. Something of interest with the storm system won't impact us, but on the back end, it does show how powerful it is with the cold air wrapping in. They're talking several inches of snow in the northern plains. It's a little too close to home and a little early, right? Chapman Heated and Cooling 8-day forecast. Nothing like that for us. But again, staying very mild through the end of the week. Friday, 79. 58 on Saturday, 63 on Sunday, and should hold into the mid-60s to open up the new work week. Steph?
All right, thank you, Marcus. Let's take a look at our drive-in this morning, and it is fairly quiet, I think, for the most part for commuters here, a little bit closer to Indianapolis. Visibility is very good. Volume really not too thick right now. We're starting to see it pick up just a little bit, but nothing that's causing delays right now. Southwest at I-465 near Washington Street looks fantastic, and there's no major delays right now, no major accidents heading out and about. So if you're an early morning commuter right now, leaving within the next 5 to 10 minutes, I do think you'll be okay in terms of your morning drive. We're really not seeing a whole lot of people out on the roadways quite yet. Southwest side here, I-70, if you have plans to head out to the airport, no big issues there. Always a good idea to check your individual flight for cancellation or delays. Otherwise, if you're heading inbound, heading into the South Split, I do think you'll be okay for your morning drive. I-65 close to Fletcher Avenue. This is at the South Split here this morning. And it does look a bit thicker in terms of traffic compared to Washington Street and I-465. But if you are heading into the South Split here this morning, I don't foresee you running into any major issues. And our drive times are reflecting still a pretty easygoing commute from the southwest side of the city. 70 from Plainfield to the South Split. Your average speed there just shy of 70 miles an hour. That's a 14-minute drive. 67 from Mooresville to I-465 at a 14-minute commute as well. And then 37 from Martinsville to I-465 at a quick 23-minute morning drive.
621 right now, coming up at 6:30, a call for more sidewalks on the west side. Hear why some parents say they're worried. Before that, the fallout from an illegal hit on an Indianapolis Colt. The Raider, suspended for the year, gets the chance to fight for his season today. It is 6:24 right now. Here's a live look at Lucas Oil Stadium. Window closed this morning as it's 40s or low 50s across central Indiana. Not firing up the air conditioner, that's for sure, but that could change later in the day. You want to see Marcus's forecast here coming up just a little bit. China says it will stop carrying broadcasts of NBA preseason games as part of the uproar over a tweet by the general manager of the Houston Rockets. The Chinese government made the announcement overnight after Adam Silver said the NBA will not apologize for Daryl Morey's tweet supporting the protesters in Hong Kong. Chinese officials and some NBA fans in China have called that tweet offensive. In a news conference this morning in Japan, Silver said the league supports freedom of speech for all of its employees.
That there are consequences from that exercise of in essence, his freedom of speech. And, you know, we will have to live with those consequences. It's my hope that for our Chinese fans and our partners in China, they will see those remarks in the context of now a 3-decade, if not longer, relationship.
Silver plans to travel to China tomorrow ahead of 2 scheduled preseason games there between the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. An NFL player punished for his hit on an Indianapolis Colt will fight for his season today. Oakland Raider Vontaze Burfict will appeal his 12-game suspension. Burfict dropped Jack Doyle with a helmet-to-helmet hit in Week 4. The league has punished Burfict 3 times in the past for illegal hits. The NFL Network reports that Burfict plans to argue the league is trying to make an example out of him and that a season-long suspension is unfair. Voting starts today for 2 of the city's favorite mascots vying to be Hall of Famers. Blue and Boomer are both on the initial ballot for the Mascot Hall of Fame. Voting's quick. It ends Saturday. 7 mascots then make it to the final round of voting. We have a link to the ballot if you'd like to help on wishtv.com right now. 86-26, 50 degrees outside. Marcus, you're a fan of both of those mascots.
I am. Let's get them both in the Hall of Fame. I love it. That's right. He can put some of this weather in the Hall of Fame, right? Although it's a chilly start this morning, about as good as it gets later this afternoon, gang. And we've got several more dry and beautiful days here in the 8-day forecast. We'll time out when our next rain chance arrives. Coming up in my forecast.
And a new study breaks down why women doctors are drawn to certain specialties. Coming up, we hear from the study's author on what she found.
Now on Daybreak, 2 more major retailers will no longer sell e-cigarettes nationwide when Kroger and Walgreens say the new policy goes into effect.
We are looking at mostly sunny skies today. Storm Track 8's Marcus Bailey is tracking temperatures that'll reach the low 70s.
A local study looked at why female doctors choose certain specialties. We'll tell you what it found.
Wish TV, all local, all morning. News 8's Daybreak continues.
Hope you're getting ready for a great Tuesday on this October 8th. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak.
And getting out the door, we'll see where the slow spots are in the morning drive so you can get around them with Stephanie Meade.
The weather is going to be fantastic eventually. You might like it right now here in the morning in the upper 40s for most places.
It's interesting. We are by far the warmest spot here. Well, at the airport. I wouldn't even say here downtown because there's some spots downtown that are running cooler than the airport. 50 you see on the bug there, but there are many areas that are in the low 40s. I've seen a few upper 30s, so it's a crisp start this morning, no doubt about it. You said slow spots. I think people are going to be kind of picking up the pace a little bit to get to the vehicle this morning. It does warm up nicely, though. We got a fantastic Tuesday forecast for you. The clear sky is what's making for the chillier temperatures this morning, but it works in our favor later this afternoon as we will warm quickly with that dry air. Jackets required for the kiddos at the bus stop here between now and 8 o'clock as temperatures, at least here in the city, kind of teeter around 50 degrees. Many areas outside of the city, though, far cooler than that. Example, Westfield at 42. Officially at the airport, I mentioned we're at 50, but on the east side of town, at Cumberland, you're at 42 with a calm wind. So yeah, you've got some chilly temperatures across a lot of central Indiana. Again, it's a clear sky, not just here across the state, it's really all of the Midwest. So free and clear of cloud cover as we head through the day today. And that should allow for a nice warm up despite some of these cooler temperatures. Up in Muncie, you're at 43, 44 Shelbyville, 40 in Kokomo. Greencastle, you're checking in at 41 degrees. 40 in Kokomo. You were as chilly as 39 up in Howard County over the last hour. 43 Muncie, 44 Shelbyville, and 41 in Columbus. Nice warm up here for the second half of the day. 1 o'clock temperature at 67, 70 at 3 o'clock. And I think we finish off with a high of 72 degrees later on this afternoon. That's about 3 or 4 degrees above average for this time of year. And all of us at least in the low 70s, if not in the mid 70s south of I-70. Dry today, dry tomorrow, and dry Thursday. Some changes heading our way, though, by the end of the week. Another shot of some much needed rain, but this time it's going to come with a little bit of wind, maybe some thunderstorms. And boy, is there a big temperature shift following the rain on Friday coming up. We'll have a full timetable of the Friday rain and how much cooler the temperatures get to kick off the weekend in my Storm Track 8 forecast in just a few minutes. Steph?
All right, thanks, Marcus. Let's take a look at our drive-in here, and it is still fairly quiet as we approach 6:30 here. It's about 6:32 as we start off Tuesday morning here on Daybreak. I-465 near Washington Street, southwest side, looks great. No big issues here coming in from that side of the city. However, you are noticing a few more headlights and taillights out there, so volume is starting to increase for a lot of locations. We do have a breakdown on the southwest side. This is just north of I-70 near Fortune Circle and Executive Drive. If that is a usual route, it's just south of Sam Jones Expressway, so that's not causing a huge issue right now. It's still new, but we'll monitor that for you. We have a new police incident here on the west side, 9th and Moreland Avenue. This is just south of 10th Street, so if that is a usual route close to Tibbs Avenue, closest intersection to that police hazard this morning. So if you live within that neighborhood roadway, just be aware you could be dealing with a lot of police presence there. Otherwise, 65 near Fletcher Avenue looks okay. Volume not too bad there this morning at the south split. Northeast side drive times right now still fairly light. 69 from 116th Street to I-465 at a 5-minute drive. Allisonville Road from 116th to Fall Creek at a 16-minute morning commute. And then Keystone Parkway from Carmel to Fall Creek at a 15-minute morning drive.
6:33 is time to jumpstart your morning with the top stories on Daybreak. A fire has left a woman in critical condition and hurt 2 police officers. Happened at the Cumberland Manor Apartments. 2 officers are being treated for smoke inhalation. There's no word yet why the fire started. A deadly shooting in broad daylight has shaken a Southside neighborhood. It happened yesterday afternoon at an apartment complex near East Street and Southport Road. A woman tells us she saw a man run across a courtyard, then collapse behind a bush. He was critically injured. Police found another person dead in a parked car. A grieving Central Indiana widow calls her husband killed in a plane crash, an encourager, a supporter, and a man of God. Zachariah Bennett died Saturday from the injuries he had suffered in last Thursday's crash in Lansing, Michigan. The plane took off from Greenwood. There were 6 people on board. All 4 who died were from Central Indiana.
Parents of Ben Davis students are calling for the city to install more sidewalks so their kids can get to school safely. People living on the west side say they often see students walking to and from the school on Girls School Road during high traffic times. Not having a sidewalk has also been a concern for families who want to better enjoy the neighborhood.
We've not proactively given students, seniors, and families a place to walk, or just those with dogs that want to walk their pets around our neighborhood.
The city's Department of Public Works says areas on the west side, including Girls School Road from 10th to 21st Streets, need sidewalk infrastructure. The department reports it is looking into future improvements, but does not have the funding.
Watch out for farm equipment on the road. That's the plea from police, firefighters, and farmers. They're all hoping to avoid collisions between cars and combines as farmers use public roads to move from field to field. State troopers, Wayne Township firefighters, and local farmers all teamed up for a special farm equipment awareness event Monday. They're pleading for patience.
It's a lot easier for the person in the car just to find a quick spot to get over, maybe even pull in a driveway for 10 or 15 seconds. We're not delaying your day that much. To just be a little bit more courteous as we're trying to be courteous of them, because we will get over it every chance we can, or we will hug the side of the road the best we can and allow passing when it's safe.
This year is proving to be a very difficult one for Indiana farms with a planting season that was spoiled by too much rain, followed by extremely dry spells. The harvest, they say, could last through early December.
Some vape shop owners in Indiana are looking to profit on restrictions placed on products in other states. As we reported on Daybreak, Michigan became the first state to ban flavored e-cigarettes last month following a rise in lung illnesses and deaths relating to vaping. One store clerk near the Michigan state line that is, says the shop saw a business increase when Indiana legalized alcohol sales on Sundays. She thinks Michigan's new law could have the same impact. Kroger and Walgreens announced the chains will no longer sell e-cigarettes nationwide. The retailers will discontinue sales, citing an uncertain regulatory environment. Kroger says it will sell off its remaining stock, then halt future sales. Health officials confirm at least 19 deaths across the country due to lung injury cases associated with using e-cigarette or vaping products. Walmart announced last month it would stop selling e-cigarettes at its stores nationwide.
New on Daybreak, a national spotlight on the work of an Indianapolis doctor. The work was recently published in the journal JAMA Internal Medicine.
Now, the study looks at why female doctors choose certain specialties over others. News 8's Angelique Kakaday spoke with the author of the study and is here with what she found.
Well, the study found that the type of specialty a woman chooses is more dependent on lifestyle than financial factors. That's according to the study's author, Dr. Walsh, a cardiologist at St. Vincent. Now, the CDC says heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States. Still, with over 50% of medical students now being women, Dr. Walsh says cardiology growth has been flat. She says women prefer specialties with long-term patients like primary care, less on-call time, and a more accepting environment. Now, according to Dr. Walsh, the amount of women in any given specialty can make a real difference in patient care.
Medicine changes when it's more diverse. So when we take care of a diverse patient population in cardiovascular medicine and in all areas of medicine, and so the more we can replicate the patient population that we serve, the better care we give. That's been shown in multiple studies.
Dr. Walsh says there have been efforts made to increase women in cardiology, making sure there are more mentors in the field and working with hospitals to adjust shift schedules. Dr. Walsh also told me she plans to do another deeper dive study into all specialties to help make care more diverse and better for patients. Scott and Drew.
All right, Angelique, thank you. The time is 6:38.
3 infants have died from a bacterial infection. Ahead, how many other babies at a hospital in Pennsylvania may be affected.
Parents want answers after a bus in North Carolina burst into flames. Why they say there was a lack of communication.